Executives, managers, team leads, and project teams often face situations that lack the information needed to make decisions. In such situations, they have to make assumptions. The way these assumptions are raised, worked through, and decided on impacts the decisions that get made and the quality of outcomes. In this video, I focus on 3 case studies that raise awareness on the implications with raising assumptions and working through them, and offer a framework and the skills that are needed to work through assumptions in a systematic way and achieve positive outcomes. The 3 case studies I share draw from personal experience. My intent is to highlight the complexity that assumptions present in multi-party settings. The first case study involves 2, me and my coworker. We were driving to a conference and I was behind the steering wheel. The car in front of me was kind of slow or at speed, and I was getting impatient. I looked ahead and the incoming car, this was a 2-lane highway, was quite far. So I decided to pass the vehicle in front of me and I overtook it successfully. I looked at my coworker and she looked panicked. I asked her what happened and she told me that I had taken an unnecessary risk, that there wasn't enough space and time to pass the vehicle, and I shouldn't have done that. The lesson here is when 2 or more individuals are involved in an unfamiliar situation, perspectives can be very different and the resulting assumptions very different. In this instance, our assumptions were colliding and created tension. The second case study involves a request for proposal from a large customer for a high-pressure, high-temperature valve to be used in deep oil drilling. These are sophisticated products with special metals and special processes. A team of subject matter experts from different functional areas were brought together to work on the proposal, led by a manager. They raised assumptions and risks, put them on Post-it notes, and put them up on a wall. The next step was to work through the assumptions and narrow the list. That's when members were confronted with colliding and competing assumptions that they were unable to resolve. They did not have the skills, and it was resulting in frustration and anxiety. The manager grew impatient and he took the data that was generated by the team and told the team that he would put the proposal together and send it to the customer, and he thanked the members of the team. The proposal, however, which arrived at the customer's desk was rejected. The lesson here is that in multi-party settings, raising assumptions, working through assumptions, and arriving at decisions can be complex. And if members do not have the skills, it affects decisions and outcomes. The third case study is very similar to the previous one. It was a request for a proposal from a large customer for a high-pressure, high-temperature valve in the European markets. There, the organization had a system in place and skills developed among subject matter experts. The team that was brought together, led by a manager, first worked on developing a shared understanding of what was requested in the proposal. Once they developed a shared understanding, they worked on what information was needed to address the proposal, what information was readily available, and what information they did not have. That is where they made assumptions. The total assumptions they made were far fewer than the previous case study because they were more focused as a collective and arrived at decisions skillfully. They were able to put the proposal together and send it to the customer. The proposal was accepted and the team celebrated. When members have a system and the skills needed to work through competing and colliding assumptions, they are able to arrive at decisions effectively and achieve positive outcomes. The three cases illustrate the complexity that working through assumptions can present in multi-party settings. Here, I share a framework that has proven to be helpful. The framework has 4 phases, from situation analysis, information analysis, assumption analysis, and results analysis. Each phase has 2 modes. Let's start with situation analysis. And looking back at the request for proposal in the case I discussed, in situation analysis, members explore what the case requires, and there will be different perspectives. Members share their perspectives and then arrive at a shared understanding of what must be done for a winning proposal. They're working together. They take that shared understanding and in the next phase identify what information is needed to address the proposal. They look at what information they have readily available, and they look at what information they do not have. That is where they will need to make assumptions. Then we move on to the next phase where they raise assumptions and work through assumptions. There too there is an expansion at first, and then arrive at a narrowed down list of assumptions that must be taken into account in the proposal. Now, working through assumptions, colliding and competing assumptions require enhanced skills. We provide skills in managing disagreements and solving complex challenges. These 2 skill sets equip members to work through challenges in an effective manner. Once they work through assumptions, the next step is results analysis. That's where they bring in the information they already have and the assumptions that are made, combine the 2 to look at what options they have that will make a winning solution in a request for proposal, for example, and they weigh the risks in each and then narrow it down to the recommended option. So what you see in this framework, there are 4 phases. Each phase has 2 modes, an expansion and where they reduce information and agree as a collective before proceeding to the next step. Very disciplined, very systematic, and it has delivered positive outcomes. I've just provided highlights here. For more information, please reach out to me and I will be more than glad to share. I have my contact information at the end of this video. The 3 takeaways from the presentation are: number 1, assumptions are necessary when the information needed to make a decision is not readily available. Number 2, assumptions in multi-party settings can compete and collide, adding complexity to the process of working through assumptions. And number 3, application of a framework and skills help work through the challenges in a systematic way and achieve positive outcomes. Use of the framework and skills can help leaders, managers, team leads, and project teams sort through the challenges presented by competing and colliding assumptions in multi-party settings and achieve positive outcomes. I hope you found this video valuable. Please reach out to me if you need more information on the framework and skills that would be helpful. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. You have a good day now, and goodbye.